This is basically the brush. And as you walk further in, these are called, this is the actual wash. These are the washes.
He spent years kicking down doors. He has seen armed suspects, hostage situations, and carefully planned criminal operations. When a former SWAT deputy with 3 decades on the force watches surveillance footage, he is not guessing. He is reading. And when Rob Krieger sat down and watched the doorbell camera video released by the FBI in the Nancy Guthrie case, he did not say what you might expect. He did not say this person is dangerous. He did not say this looks like a professional. He said, and these are his words, "There's just a lot of things that seem off with it. An 84-year-old woman is still missing. Her pacemaker went silent in the early hours of February 1st. Her family is still waiting. And the man who took her left a camera frame full of mistakes that investigators have been quietly reading, piece by piece, ever since. This video is about those mistakes, and what they reveal about exactly who planned this, and how close law enforcement is to finding him. Let's start with the doorbell camera, because everything begins there. On February 10th, FBI Director Kash Patel released surveillance images on X showing a masked, armed intruder wearing gloves and a backpack outside Nancy Guthrie's home. Investigators reported that the intruder attempted to tamper with the video doorbell, first trying to knock it off, and when that failed, covering the lens with foliage from a potted plant. Wikipedia. He thought he had beaten the camera. He was wrong. The footage was recovered after several days of effort and required significant technical expertise from Google, which owns Nest. NewsNation. The FBI pulled this video not from a cloud subscription, not from a backup hard drive, but from deep within Google's back-end systems. The suspect did not know that was possible. That was mistake number 1. He tried to erase the one thing that would define him, and the technology he tried to outsmart handed investigators exactly what they needed. Former FBI Special Agent Jennifer Coffindaffer told Newsweek the suspect walked straight toward the camera with his head down. No hesitation, no searching. They knew exactly where that camera was, she said. It makes no sense to me that this wasn't completely targeted. Jubilee cast. He knew about the camera. He planned for the camera. He failed to destroy the camera. That is not a small detail. That is the spine of this entire investigation. Now let's talk about what that camera actually showed. Because when law enforcement experts across the country reviewed the footage, one detail stopped nearly all of them in their tracks. The gun. The subject seen in the images is armed, carrying what appears to be a pistol in a holster at the waist. But some experts said the holster and its placement at the individual's groin area suggest this person lacks proficiency with firearms. CNN. This is not a minor observation. This is a trained investigator's read of a suspect's relationship with weapons, and what it tells you about who they are. Former FBI Deputy Director Andrew McCabe was direct. In my opinion, this is not someone, first of all, who was ever trained to carry a gun. No person with law enforcement or military training would ever carry a firearm in a holster like that, right where that is at almost the center of his body, hanging off of his belt there. It's not very tactically sound for a lot of reasons. CNN. Retired FBI Supervisory Special Agent Steve Moore agreed. The holster and the gun simply did not match. A small concealment pistol stuffed into a holster built for something far larger. And then there is the SWAT commander's read. Rob Krieger, a former Pima County SWAT deputy with 3 decades of experience, told NewsNation the video suggests an unsophisticated actor rather than a professional criminal. The way he's holding the gun, it appears like he's holding a support hand. It's just kind of hanging there and there's really no rhyme or reason to it. The way the holster is on the outside of the pants, it looks like the gun is way too small for the holster. There's just a lot of things that seem off with it. NewsNation. Krieger went further. Based on his personal experience with kidnappings in the Tucson area, he said this does not look cartel-related. Cartels, he noted, move with precision, a team in and out fast, camera gone immediately. This was none of those things. This was one person, fumbling with a plant, improvising in real time, wearing the wrong holster for the wrong gun. The FBI now knows this suspect has no prior violent criminal record. DNA recovered from the scene returned no match in CODIS, the national database of over 19 million offender profiles. Wikipedia genetic genealogy is now running, the same technique that identified the Golden State Killer after decades of cold. No criminal history required. This person looks ordinary, lives somewhere, has people in their life who know them, and every single mistake they made on that doorbell camera, the wrong holster, the improvised cover-up, the gait, the body language, is now part of a profile that investigators are actively closing in on. Here is what makes the doorbell footage even more significant. The night of January 31st was not the first time this person stood at Nancy Guthrie's door. 3 weeks before Nancy Guthrie's abduction, a masked man resembling the one suspected of taking her was seen on her front steps, according to multiple law enforcement sources. One of the pictures recovered from her Nest doorbell camera was taken on a different date than the others. Fox News. A neighbor who spoke to Fox News Digital confirmed that on that last visit, FBI and sheriff's investigators specifically mentioned January 11th as a date of interest. Fox News: the FBI was asking neighbors across the Catalina foothills for security footage from January 11th and January 24th, 2 Saturdays. The same day of the week as every family dinner. The same day of the week as the night Nancy was taken. This was surveillance. Deliberate, patient, repeated surveillance. Someone studied this family's Saturday rhythm long before they acted on it. That kind of knowledge does not come from public records or social media. It comes from proximity, from being close enough to know when an 84-year-old woman takes an Uber to her daughter's house for dinner, and when she comes home alone. There is one more thing the doorbell camera revealed that has not received enough attention. Not just what the suspect looked like, but how he moved. Former SWAT Commander Josh Skird made a specific observation. We recognize people more by the way that they move than by visual cues often. Understanding how they're moving, seeing them walk back and forth, is definitely a great way to recognize someone that you might know, even when other distinctive features may be obscured. CNN. The mask covers the face. The gloves hide the hands. But gait analysis, the particular way a person walks, shifts weight, turns, is nearly impossible to disguise. The FBI has it on camera. Hours of footage reviewed frame by Quantico's digital evidence team. The FBI has received over 13,000 tips. The family has posted a $1 million reward. Jubilee cast somewhere in that tip pool is a person who has watched the footage and recognized something familiar. A walk, posture, a way of holding an arm. The suspect counted on the camera being dead. The camera is the reason he will be found. 2 months after Nancy Guthrie's disappearance, investigators say the case remains active, with leads still being pursued. According to Pima County Sheriff Chris Nanos, the investigation is ongoing and far from over. Critical forensic and digital evidence is still being analyzed, including DNA testing linked to items found near Guthrie's home. Jubilee cast. Former homicide detective Dab argued that the most significant piece of physical evidence remains the blood found on the front porch. The biggest thing that matters is the blood splatter at the front of the door because we know there was an injury and we know that that injury was to Nancy. International Business Times. Investigators have said they believe they understand the motive behind the kidnapping and that the case was targeted, though that theory has not been fully confirmed publicly. No arrest has been announced. Lawyer Harold. Nancy Ellen Guthrie was born January 27, 1942. She raised 3 children in Tucson after losing her husband in 1988. She built a life of faith, family, and quiet routine, church on Sundays, dinner at her daughter's on Saturdays, an Uber home because she did not want to be a burden. She went inside. The garage door closed at 9:50 p.m., and then someone who had been watching her for weeks came through the dark and took her. He left mistakes on that camera, and those mistakes are not going away. If you know anything, if someone in your life changed around February 1st, if you recognize that walk, that holster, that backpack, call 1-800-CLL-FBI or submit a tip at tips.fbi.gov. The reward stands at over $1 million. The DNA is in the lab. The genealogy is running. And the window for the person who did this to do the right thing, as Savannah herself said, has not yet closed. But it is not unlimited. Subscribe and turn on notifications. New coverage on this investigation drops as it develops. Nancy Guthrie's story is not finished.